We ready?
I know, right?
Ready? We'll call the meeting together of the Architecture Review and Planning Board dated June 26, 2025. Renee, would you please do a roll call?
Mrs. Power. Here. Mrs. Orthwein.
Here.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Also President participating, our Town Manager Dunham, Assistant Town Attorney Nazaro, and myself, absent with notice, Chairman Lyons, Bob Dougherty, Michael Glennon, Brian Coulter, and Richard Woodall.
Thank you, Renee. You've had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions, et cetera? If not, could I have a motion to avoid reading them at this meeting?
I make that motion.
Okay.
I second.
Renee?
Mrs. Power.
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwein.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes. Greg or Trey, are there any additions, withdrawals, deferrals, or arrangements to the agenda items?
No, sir.
Thank you. You have in front of you the meeting dates, the next meeting being July 24th at 8:30. Please let Renee know as soon as possible, if you will, if you not be able to make that meeting. As of now, Renee, do we have a quorum possibly? I will be here. We think
Yes,
we'll have-
Mr. Lyons will be here. I believe we do.
Okay, thank you. And also you may note the future meetings, and there's no meeting in August. There will be a meeting in September, October, November, and December. And Renee's pointed out for us that the November and December meetings have been moved back a week because of the holidays. We can now begin the public hearing portion of the meeting. Any declaration of ex parte communication?
I had a brief conversation with Laura Compton about her house.
Okay, thank you. Renee, would you administer the oaths to all of those who are here who will be speaking at this meeting?
Please stand and raise your right hand. Please stand and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is the application, which has been deferred from the prior meeting for El Cortillo. Whoever is going to speak, would they please come to the podium? Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please state your name?
Yes, Valeria Quintanilla, landscape architect, Environment Design Group. Now I'll be representing El Cortijo. Do you have the presentation? Yeah.
They have it in front of you.
They haven't? Okay, so I can start. Okay, so just like a recap for this whole process. You know, we came here 4 months ago with the proposing relocation of the trash enclosure because of two issues. One, it's an eyesore. It's highly visible from the whole building. It's not attractive. And two, the difficulty of servicing the dumpsters. Oh, thank you to the board and Trey and Renee. We were able to swap the dumpster for rolling bins, and we also get the front door service, which is being great. However, we still want to solve the issue of the eyesore, and that's why we're proposing to still relocate the enclosure, no connection to North Ocean Boulevard, modifying the walkway so it's not a straight view into the dumpster. And let's see if you guys can.
L3.
Yes, L3.0. You can see it's rotated, it's tucked in. Give us a few feet on the front where we can add more landscaping. We're not touching any of the existing trees. Like, we want to feel measured it, and there's like this perfect spot where this can go. Won't remove any of the large trees, and we are also going to be taking away the low vegetation that it's a mix of random plants and invasive species. So it gives us an opportunity to clean this area. At the bottom of that page, there's the elevation of the enclosure. It's going to be 6 feet, so it's not a gigantic building. And we're also committed to put as much vegetation as possible so it's not visible from North Ocean Boulevard. And probably have L3.1. It's an exhibit that shows you the overlay of the existing enclosure versus the new one. So you can see it's not a gigantic modification, and it fits inside the same area. And sheet L 4.0, it's the landscape plan. We have a ligustrum trees, which are really good, shady, thick vegetation that will help us screen that enclosure, and a mixture of lady palms and matrifern since that area is very shady. And again, as mentioned, we're going to add more vegetation if needed to screen it from all sides. And last sheet has an image of the proposed vegetation if needed. And again, just to recap, we still want to relocate the trash enclosure. We're not proposing any access to North Ocean Boulevard. There's no impact on existing trees or palms. And again, we're adding enough screening for this to not be visible.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments?
I just appreciate that you guys have been doing this a couple of times, so thank you for coming up with this.
Thank you for the opportunity to get back.
Trey, the 4.4 feet setback from the property line is acceptable because it's an out.
Right. Excuse me. So in our review of the trash enclosure, we're viewing it more as walls rather than a minor accessory. So because of that, we found the setback to be sufficient.
And has our neighbor to the north had any comments about this, or have they been notified? They were notified originally.
Everybody's notified originally, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Any other comments? If not,
We can make a motion.
could we have a motion? Yes.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve a North Ocean Boulevard overlay permit for the relocation of an existing trash enclosure with landscape enhancements to screen enclosure.
I second.
Moved and
Mrs.
seconded.
Power.
Renee, yes.
Mrs. Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
And I'll make a motion to approve a level 2 architectural site plan for the relocation of an existing trash enclosure with landscape enhancements to screen enclosure with the following condition. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modification shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscaping.
I second.
Mrs. Power?
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Nice to resolve this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is again a continuation from a deferral from the meeting on May 22nd for, I believe, the home at 4120 Old Ocean Boulevard. You're back.
I'm back. I had to switch the sets.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, the previous presentation last month was presented by Dustin, but I'll be taking his spot now. So the last presentation, there was a series of changes, but the two ones that you guys had more questions was the removal of the black olives on the south property line, and then also additional landscape in front of the street and the right of way. So after the meeting, we met with the neighbor, and she has approved the removal of the black olives. We also have an email of consent that you may have received. And you know, these are invasive species. They carry a pest that causes the staining on the house. And it has also, after the meeting, there was a burst of the pipe on our client's home. And once they opened it up, it was full of roots from one of the black olive trees. So we definitely want to remove them, but we're adding more trees to replace that area. And later we'll show you an elevation. So the first two sheets is previously approved ARPB plan, the site plan and the landscape plan that was approved on 2023. And it still had the walkways on the pool deck and also a solid walkway on the south connecting from the driveway to the pool deck. And those we're proposing to be removed. And then the second page, it's a landscape plan, which has the 4 black olives on the south and some additional screening that it's on North County Road. There was a 5-foot clusia and ficus green island over there. Next sheet is all the line items that we're proposing to modify from one side to the other. the removal of the hardscape that it was previously mentioned, that also helped us increase the open space, which is really good for the house. We're not doing the steps on the bottom. It's going to be more lawn. And then some minor adjustments to the driveway. The first one had a lot of lines, and now it's a more simplified design. So next page, please. So this is the landscape plan that was presented last month. It had 5 green bottomwood trees that the board said that it wasn't enough. So on the next page, we added 2 more trees actually, one on the south side and one on the north side. So they're more symmetrical since the house is very symmetrical. We just added to fill it in. And we also had that on the first ARPB from 2023. And we have also brought back the 2 lines of hedges. We switched the clusia for podocarpus hedge and ficus green island. So it's a 2-row going along the street that will help us minimize the direct view to the house. And next sheet, please. That's just the open space overall increasing from the removal of the hardscape. Next page. Next page. Can you go next? Next page. Next one. Okay. So this is the elevation that was presented last month. And on the next page, you will see with the additional tree. Yeah, that it increases the buffer, and the same line of sight where the black olives are. We extended that length of trees. And next page, at the top view is what we presented last month. You didn't see this view, but then the bottom image, it's how it will look with the new additional landscape that we're proposing. And I think that's it.
You're going to have artificial turf in the driveway between the cement sections, I take it. What about on the north side there along the edge? It looked there's a very small blade grass, or it's artificial. Do you know what I mean? If we're facing the house on the right-hand side.
Which one? Sorry.
All right, so
Right there.
right there. Is that real grass there now?
We have it as grass proposed on our plan. It may look a little fake over there, but it's
Well,
not.
it was so natural. I couldn't tell if it was a small blade grass or it's artificial. Is it artificial now?
Right now over there, I'm not 100% sure, but the house is still being in construction.
Okay. But in your finished plans, that's going to be real grass.
Correct.
So in watching the tape from the last meeting, you have addressed a number of the issues. Certainly there was a tree on the northeast corner, which I think you've put back in. And
Yes.
I think Mr. Lyons wanted more hedge work, or certainly some more foliage in the front of the house, which you're proposing. The black olive trees is the more difficult one. Now, the neighbor said they didn't object to you removing them, but there was some comment about we weren't sure that what you were showing as a replacement were going to be dense enough or high enough, right?
That's
You
what I
were
heard
both
too.
here?
No, I wasn't, but I watched it.
Okay. So Trey, was it the height of the tree or the
Density.
incidentally, just so you
Yeah.
know, I think the black olive trees are really unattractive. I've been there and looked at them. Nobody puts them in anymore, as you well know, and they've been kind of hat racked. And so I don't think it's the removal of those that's a bad thing. It's we're worried about the replacement and losing the canopy
Right.
that they now prevent.
So, well, the height that we're proposing is 14 feet.
14 feet.
We can go a little bit taller. 14, it already covers a 2-story house.
Mhm.
And also the spacing in between the trees is around 10 to 12 feet of center, which is very close. The green bottomwoods, they fill in very quickly. They will get very dense. It's one of the trees that grow very quickly. And with that spacing, it's healthy enough that there is space out and they can grow in their own way, but also quickly to fill in the gaps.
So what's the annual growth rate of those trees?
It's like 2 to 3 feet per year, which is high for a lot of trees. A lot of trees are half a foot or 1 foot,
So when I looked it up, it showed 1 to 2 feet per year.
1 to 2.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, it's a significant difference, right? When you
Yeah.
think about how long it's going to take to get to maturity
Mhm.
and to replace, back to what we're talking about, the height that's coming with the black olives. So can you get bigger ones, and would that provide? I would imagine-
Absolutely, yeah. Especially we get them field grown. They tend to have a bigger spread
Right.
compared to the ones that are in a pod that they just like cut them really thin so they can stuck it in one corner.
Right.
Yeah, so we can do that.
They're obviously going to hang over into the neighbor's yard. What do you plan them about 5 feet from the property line? And does their neighbor have a chance to comment on that, Trey?
I know that they have spoken with the neighbor and they were fine with removing the black olives. I imagine part of that is probably what happens to their driveway when the olives fall.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that, whether or not the two individuals that own these houses now, if they don't own them in 5 years from now, that it's an acceptable replacement under the town code. I think that Mr. Mizell last month mentioned that he may not even be able to get the 14-foot tall plants in the conical shape. So we're looking at sort of smaller, well-manicured, kind of large shrubs replacing very, very large mature trees. So I think that, when Greg and town staff were looking at this, we're just looking at a replacement that's a little bit more significant rather than just nice, well-manicured, smaller trees. And of course, 14 feet may seem to screen a 2-story house, but if a 2-story house is 30 feet
Right,
tall,
yeah.
That's not really super.
So obviously, I'm not an arborist. Are there other options that would be more in line with replacing like for like, as opposed to smaller, right? Again, I listened to it as well, and I did hear him say that it was going to be, 14 feet was the max size that could be acquired. So are there other trees that we could look at?
There are other nurseries that may have
Similar
18-foot
or-
trees or 16-foot trees.
Well, yeah, we
Same tree
can
but larger.
look at different nurseries for options. I think that this tree is like a really good option because it doesn't have intrusive roots. You don't want to get into this problem in the future. And like I said, they're very fast growing. They're a native tree as well. So we're not putting back another invasive species into the house. We may be able to try to look for something taller. I think that would be the best option.
I think that's the major concern, is the height and the density overall, right? And that's what we just want to make sure, because especially if they're just going to be 14 feet. I mean, I don't think that that's showing a 14-foot tree right there, right? That's like a 20-something tree, and it looks great. In 10 years, it's going to be incredible, but right now, it would be a problem for several years, I think.
I agree. You're proposing the identical tree in the northeast corner?
Over here?
Yeah,
Yes,
would be the
correct. So they match
There'd be
both sides of
7
the
of them all
driveway.
together, and they would be aligned north and south. you said?
Correct.
So-
Yeah.
So I think our main issue is the height and density of the tree. Do you want to let us know if they're actually available? He hinted they may not be, but I don't know if they've checked every nursery. I think you're going to find we're not liking a 14-foot high tree.
Okay.
Um,
What is a comfortable height for you
We
guys?
want to go to something in the
18 feet,
range
maybe,
that's
yeah.
going to continue to grow,
Okay.
right? Because what's the current height of those black olives right now?
They're 25 or 30 feet.
Yeah,
probably.
they're very tall.
I think I would guess they're 25 feet tall, probably.
I believe the eve height here is probably 10 or 12. So that's, if that will help y'all look at those trees right now, they're nowhere. If the eve height right there on the garage is 10 or 12 feet.
Right.
So, I know you'd like to get them in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something we could rely on the town to, if they came back to you with, they were able to obtain 18-foot high trees?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have, we don't want to stall you any
Right.
longer.
Right,
It's not possible.
So
I was going to suggest to Renee and Mr. Nazaro that we consult a little with someone on our staff, Anthony, who
Yeah.
is, owns his own landscaping business for 20 years. So he might be able to identify a different kind of a tree, as you were suggesting. So I don't know if we want to.
I mean, I think the green buttonwood is a beautiful tree, and it seems to be appropriate based on the specifications. I mean, they are right on the property line. On the other side, there's not a lot of ground for the root system to grow, so it seems that it meets this all of the criteria. It's just that we're looking for something that's a little bit more significant. So if we want to approve this condition on staff, approving an acceptable height based on what is permitted, and if we have any questions, we can always bring it back.
But I think we're targeting like 18 to 20 feet, perhaps.
At time of planting, is that?
I think that would be that'd be great. You agree, guys?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that so that maybe you can resolve that in the next week or so with the town by checking with some nurseries or Anthony and see what he says.
Right.
We certainly like the idea of 6 of them instead of
Yes.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And we like the matching one on the north corner, like the hedges. So I think we're really close, except for the height of the trees.
Okay.
So could we approve
Should we
the landscape plan subject to them resolving the height of the trees on the south border with staff?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think we have their
Okay.
direction, your direction, and if we can't get to that, I guess we would.
Well, we would
We'll be
want
talking
to,
about it in July. Yeah, okay.
right, but we would want a motion at this point approving the application subject to staff.
That's right.
Right.
Review. Okay, so I'm going to attempt that. You guys can correct me if I get it wrong, but there's 2 motions that need to be made. So I'm going to do the complicated one first. So we're going to make a motion to approve the removal of the 4 shady lady black olive trees on the south side of the property, subject to town approval and height minimum of 18 to 20 feet of the replacement trees. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
Will you
second.
second that?
Mrs.
Renee?
Power,
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwine,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Okay, and then the second one is a motion to approve minor modification to the driveway layout, front entry step layout, pool deck layout, and expanded lawns in front and backyards.
I second.
Mrs. Power,
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwine.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes. Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
You know where we are now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, Blue Water Cove.
Good morning. My name is Luis Rivera with Affinity Architects, and we're presenting Lot 10 Blue Water Cove. This is a West Indies style home. On our this is a front elevation of it, rendered. The next slide shows the lot location in comparison with the rest of the lots. Our next slide shows the comparison of all the houses that have been approved or are in construction, and comparing the elevations to our new home. Our next slide is the site plan.
I don't know if I have that.
Yeah, we didn't have that one.
We don't have that
we
comparison.
just go back to it for a
Just
second?
go
Sure.
back to it for a minute, please.
Sure.
We have lots of slides of the Lot 10 home,
Yeah.
but not that comparison.
Our lot is this one down here.
Right.
Right now we have 3 other 2-stories. If you could zoom out a little bit, the second 2-story is lot 2. The next one is lot 6 and lot 7. That's our, the ones that we comparable to this
2,
one.
6, 7, and 10 proposed. Anything else on the south side? It's 2-story.
No, not yet. And the next slide, if you're okay with the moving on, is the site plan, and that has the calculations, all the required calculations. Next slide is first floor. Second one, our next one is the second floor. Next slide is the material selections for this home and the color selections. Next slide, rear elevation with some of the landscape. Next one is the 2D elevations and height limitations or whatever. Next one would be the side elevations, garage side and master side. And next would be the landscape, which my friend Louis Vlahos will be telling us about.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Louis Vlahos, Majestic Views Landscape Architects. Basically, just in general, this is lot is on the south side. There's a existing fishtail hedge, which has some holes in it, which we will be adding to it. So there's no views to the adjacent property. We have the 6 green buttonwood buffer trees, which are indicated there in the rear. In addition to that, we have 4 matching foxtail palms at 18 foot overall, where the pool area is. Underneath it, a combination of additional screening with podocarpus hedge, some textural stuff with alocasia, agaves, ground covers of ficus green island and jasmine minima, basically to just complete that whole area there. In the front, we have the 3 existing streetscape oaks. They're all growing and looking very nicely lately. We have, again, kind of repeating the 3 large 18-foot overall foxtail palms in the front, basically working with a second story architecture. We also have a MacArthurite palm, this little niche here again, working with the second story. On either side of the garage, Japanese blueberries and 16 to 18 foot Alexander palms that are going to be extending above. And the client liked the idea of being able to view the palms from the rear, etc. So we went with the height of 18 feet. Underneath, again, kind of there's some textural value to it, with the iris and also ilex shillings, which is a native ficus green island, and podocarpus pringles dwarf, that would give us that formal layered effect that the client requested and he likes. Other than that, on the sides east and west, we're using in this lot the pigeon plum to kind of work with the scales and the elevations, the side elevations of the residence. In addition, we're adding 5 fishtail palms on the garage side to basically screen the garage doors and also work with the second story scale of the house. Other than that, any questions? And basically these are elevations. This is an existing kind of showing the fishtail palms, the large boxtails. These are the Alexanders that are up against the house, and kind of a similar situation in the front. The Alexanders, the MacArthurite, large foxtails, Japanese blueberries, kind of on either side there, and then the large oak trees at the ends, which is streetscape. There's also another streetscape oak that we didn't incorporate because it would have just blocked the whole front elevation of the house.
But it's there already.
Pardon me?
If that tree is there already, though.
Yes, yes, yes.
On the west elevation, do you feel that landscaping is adequate to sort of shield is that the primary bathroom, that window there?
Which one?
The west, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's a beautiful home.
Mhm.
And if this landscaping is anything like the ones that you've already finished earlier, it's beautiful and dense. The first home built, it looks like it's been there 5 or 10 years already.
Yeah, it actually looks really nice.
Really, really
And so does
attractive.
14, the one across the street too. That looks.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Not really. I was interested in going back to the sort of the overlay of the entire neighborhood. If you don't mind, just for a second, just because I'm noticing, and this goes back a couple of years when we had to change the walkways because it felt very much like a development. And I just sort of see, like, if you look at the way the pools are done and everything, it's a little on the cookie cutter side with the backyards. I mean, they're beautiful. And again, the landscaping is spectacular. And I just don't know that there's anything that creates kind of, more of a development type of a feel rather than the Gulf Stream.
I would like to recommend, have you looked at the backyards?
I've never been over and looked, no.
Well, I would recommend
never
going there.
trespassed.
They're definitely not cookie cutter by any means.
Okay.
There is some limitations because the homes are, well, number one, we got the 10-foot setback for the pool.
Right.
And then the homes are basically to the 20-foot setback. So we're kind of limited in space as far as the pool design. And we try to alternate as much as possible, whether the location of the spa, the steps, how it protrudes into your covered loggia, and so forth. And at the same token, when we're looking at these, we're also looking at the residences on either side, whether being developed in the future or simultaneously. So we don't have trees in the same line, but maybe juxtaposed. So in between the homes, there is that screening. And then in the rear, we kind of alternate. Yeah, there might be some palms and stuff that we kind of use, but the design is really, really different. I would recommend.
All the pools are the shape different.
Yeah. It's by no means cookie cutter. Each unit has the pool is designed we do two concepts. They're presented to the owner. The owner selects one concept in combination of the other one, before we finalize it. So, the only similarities I would have to say would be about the size. And the size is about 16 by 36 on average on the pools.
Yeah, I was going to fuss a little bit about the similarity of design on the whole street, but I went over and looked, and you
Right.
guys have done a really good job with colors.
Yeah.
Shutters, roof colors, landscaping. It doesn't look. In other words, we don't want 14 houses that are mirror images of one another.
Right.
You've read it in the code. I think you've done a really good job of not having that happen so far. But as we get how many are you into it?
We've got
eight
three
of them?
more.
Three more.
Yeah, we're designing 9 and 11.
And we're finalizing those right now. And
So
then
be
we're gonna
conscious of that for us. I mean, we're really concerned about, it not looking like 14 identical homes.
We are. We try.
And you've done a good job, really. When I drive down there and you look at it in actual colors in the daylight, it doesn't look, it looks great. That's what I was gonna say. Anything else? No? Can we have
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
I would offer to any one of you guys a tour by staff if you ever would like to go.
With consent of the property owner, obviously.
Yes.
Is this isn't owned yet? You're not building this for an owner?
Yes,
No,
this one is.
this has an owner, correct.
Oh, okay.
Lot 6 has an owner, lot 8, lot 7, of course.
2 down on the end.
About
yes.
3 and 9 that
And
are
I
coming
believe
in,
lot
right?
1 also has an owner.
Right.
Yeah, that's got somebody in there.
So the first lot here is a model, so if you guys want to go see, you can see this one and this one, and we are getting CO, I think, on this one. and we're wrapping this one up, and this one should be done next month. So feel free to go look at any of those. We're gonna be closing in August on some of those new completions, so you have a little time to check it all out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Yep, hold on.
See here.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan based on finding that the construction of a 5,465 square foot west-east south story single-family dwelling with a 2.5-car garage and swimming pool, including new landscape and hardscape, meet the minimum consent for the design manual and applicable review standards with the following condition. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscaping.
I second.
Renee?
Mrs. Power.
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwein.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're going to see you soon. You're coming back.
Yes.
Next month.
Next month.
We'll be back.
You won't see us in August.
Or us.
They're here every month, so.
Okay. Mr. Marsh, hold on, let us get the stuff open here, Mark.
Pardon?
Give us a sec.
Sure. Did a cursor? Nope.
No, you cannot, sorry.
This is very difficult. Good morning, Mark Marsh, architect, Bridges Marsh Architects. I'm here representing Amos and Barbara Hostetter. Along with me is Gasu Askel, who is a landscape architect, representing Fernando Wong, Outdoor Design Living. I think everybody should be familiar with the property. It's one of the, I think, the most gorgeous properties I think we have left in town. I mean, it really is spectacular. The survey here on the top left shows the existing house. Obviously we're going to demolish it. We were here in, I think, March requesting an early demolition, and the commission rightly, I think at the time, suggested that we wait till the May 1st deadline without having to do a special exception. So the owners have consented, and we are now in the full process. So we've kind of caught up back with ourselves. The interesting things to note are the two entryways, and the aerial actually shows it better. That the driveway on the east side, which comes off North Ocean Boulevard, is the main drive to the residence. And then there is a service drive off Gulfstream Road on the west side. Interesting enough, what we're going to show you today is we're going to maintain that vehicle pattern. It seems to work, and it really does not disturb the beauty of especially the west or the east and the south side of the property. So let's go on if we can. Next. So here's the footprint of the proposed new residence. Again, just to talk about some of the technical aspects. The property is obviously, it's about a little over an acre and a third. We are planning to do a house. This house is slightly over 9,000 square feet. By far, somebody could build 13,000 square feet on the property. So you can see the respect for the property is indicated here. As I said, the driveway of the main accesses to the property will be maintained in a very similar location, especially the one on the east coming off North Ocean Boulevard. However, the one on the west, we plan to move a little further north, just to align better, and Axel will kind of go over this in a little more detail. So you come in to a motor court area, and then the house is laid out, basically it's single story, so it's going to have more of a horizontal development layout. And I think you'll see the house is
very similar location to the original. So it's not, we're trying not to infringe on that east lawn. The other thing that the property has, it has a sense of elevation, which is again unusual for Gulfstream unless you're on the ocean side. And the house is going to be, the current house is at +8. We're proposing +10 as a finished floor elevation. And it will give even more appearance of being on an elevated plateau. I use the word loosely, raised area, let me say, which again is a much more gracious approach to the house. I think that covers let's go to the floor plan, please, next. So if you could scroll down a little bit, please. No, sorry, up. Thank you. The main entry, and I may have to point here, the main entry is obviously off the motor court arrival area, centered into, you come into a covered stoop, and the main front door is recessed. You come into a foyer, and the owner's program was really very defined. And what we're reflecting here today, it's going to be difficult for you to see, is everything they wanted to do was about their lifestyle primarily. They're an older couple, they have a family, but they wanted to have and maintain, if you could zoom out a little bit, please. A little more. Thank you. And they wanted to create a symmetry or a sense of symmetry and balance in the house, especially on the arrival area. So what we've created is you come in front door to the foyer and look up. And the other criteria was to be able to see as much of the outside from the inside. So there's an inside-outside direct connection. So what we've developed is you come into the foyer, you go through the great room. What you'll notice, the house does not have a dining room, which is kind of unusual, but it's part of their lifestyle. So what we have is a great room, which will combine family room and entertainment room. To the east, a library and office area, which again is very important to their lifestyle and their pleasure. And so once you're in here, you'll be looking not only south through a loggia to what Doxel will show you shortly, the pool area and the garden to the south, but it has a direct visual contact to that front lawn area on the east side. This area is basically for their private life. The master or primary suite is located here in the south east corner, library, and then the great room opening onto a loggia. Then without the dining room, the only thing they really wanted to achieve was a breakfast area that could be an everyday, but if time was that they were entertaining, it's large enough that they could accommodate a more of a sit-down, semi-formal eating area. The kitchen is central, and then the other criteria that we were challenged with is they have family, grandchildren, like most of us have. They wanted to have them close enough, but did not want them to be part or feel like they're invading or being part of the main house. So what we did was create a link through a covered via to the primary guest suites, which are a larger suite here, and then more of a casual one for a more flexible space for pull-out beds, bunk beds, children, but somehow separated, but yet still connected to the main house. The other interesting thing is that you do have an access from the north side, apart from the stoop, the main entry stoop, where you come into a mud room, and then you enter into a back hall, which again is a very traditional, older area where it's kind of, nowadays I've heard it called drop zone, where you come in and you have luggage, whatever. It's kind of a staging area. It works well for staff if you have a staff in to cook, or you're setting up for a cocktail party or something. And then on the extreme north side of that is the laundry and service area. Obviously, from the mudroom, you can go into the garage or into that ag hall. So the whole house has morphed into, and presented to them. They were very thrilled because we have actually achieved the lifestyle that they're seeking. So through this new house. Good. Next one, please. You will notice there's some porches or the roof plan. In terms of materials, which is again a very important element, right now the main house or majority of the roofs are going to be simple hip roofs. And there will be some areas that we will have standing seam copper roofs. Again, this will blend in with the cedar shake or shingle, sorry, which is, as you're maybe aware of, and if you've ever anybody been to Bahamas or especially Lyford Key, you'll see the types of very tight, again, very much in the traditional Bermuda vernacular. And I think that's what we're trying to, the whole house has got a sense of a Bermuda vernacular, which is eclectic to some point, but it still meshes together. The roof, the simplicity of the roof will marry all these elements, I think. There are a couple of flat areas over the loggia and the breezeway to the guest wing, which are intended for possible future solar panel locations, which will be again out of view from any perimeter visibility. And the roofs are 9 and 12, which again is a very traditional steeper slope for this vernacular that we're trying to achieve. Next, please. This is a front, which is actually the north elevation of the residence. And again, what you'll start seeing here again, nodding to the Bermuda vernacular, is the gable end, which again is a very identifiable element on any Bermuda colonial architecture. And what we've tried to do here, and I just explain this quickly, the idea is that one may look at this because you'll see this face of the house as your primary arrival experience. And what one would think is that this was an older house, and after time, because of program criteria or expansions, things were added. And that's what makes charm in these older, trying to get those old, more historical references. So you could see that portion could be the original main house, or could have been. In terms of materials, the shingle roof, the colors will be distant gray, which is actually a white, and a very kind of, not a brilliant white, it's kind of a dull, muted white. The shingles obviously will fade out and silver over time. The windows and fenestration, you can see, are all colonial sizes. The window panes are smaller, and the windows will be treated, the window openings would be two types of shutters, either a shutter that's a panel shutter on the sides, or a top projected louvered shutter. The entry, again, one of the, it's so wonderful to work with people like this, that they want a simple entry. The simplicity here is made possible by the Bermuda gable, which again is a scale down to reflect the entry. I'll show you the other gables that we have, which are a little grander, but a very simple gable. That entry is set back about 9-10 feet, so it's a very covered area. And you can see that this is a standing seam copper roof, which again is that's a little entry stoop for the service area. These are, and I'll show you shortly, these are what I call bonnets. They're projected, again, cypress, little window shading treatments. Again, very typical And the other thing to note
Hey,
is.
Mark, could you stop there? I don't know what those really are. That's what I was going to ask you, the cypress shutter awning. We call it a,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
they
I'll
won't,
show you.
the other ones are regular conventional shutters. And are they going to be cypress color? Are they going to be
No,
natural?
they're going to be a light, very pale green,
Green. Okay. All right.
very, very subtle
But
green.
the feature over the window.
I'll show you that. Can
Okay.
you hold that thought
Yeah,
for
okay.
that question? I'll show you. The other thing to note is we are setting on a water table, a Carl stone water table. So the house is actually going to be grounded. The walls will sit on a slightly projected outboard. Carl, again, just to give it a little sense of weight and really, securing it to the ground. Next one, please. Up, I think. Up. Sorry, go back, sir. Sorry, you passed me. Go ahead. Down.
This the next one?
No, one down. Sorry.
It's gonna go right back to where you were.
Okay.
We got that, and then we got that.
Go.
Sorry, it's
There you go.
weird.
Okay. It's weird.
It's just slow.
Oh, okay. Like me. This is the south elevation, looking to the area that Gospel will show you, which is a garden pool area. The loggia, we do have a couple of porches, which will be black aluminum. Again, one from the primary bedroom and one from the primary guest room. And what we're trying to do is, again, with all this, to get a sense of balance. You don't have to be identical, but you just want to have a sense of balance. You'll see the loggia here, very simple. This is a breakfast room. Again, another gable end wall element, classic wave, simple, punched openings. And this is a breezeway connection to the guest wing. Next, please. So this is, as you arrive from the North Ocean Boulevard Drive, coming up the slight incline, this is what you'll see in the house. This is the east elevation. You start to see some of the coloration here. As I said, the shingles will fade out to more of a silver. This is the library, and there's a balance here of the bedroom and the master bath. Again, a little projected semicircular balcony with simple iron picket rails. The front entry, entry of this motor court is here in the garage. This will be separated, as I said, with some landscaping, but you can then get a mass. And then there is another Bermuda gable, which is actually in between the living room and the library, which again is a main feature. Again, very classic profiles. Next, please. And then this is from the southwest, looking back at the house. You start to see the porches on either side, the loggia, the breezeway, the breakfast area. And you can see the proportion to wall to roof is very respectful of the style. And, the fenestration. We're going to have these little outriggers from the rafters. Again, just to give a hint of detail across that supporting beam. The fireplace is very typical of the Bermuda style. So that's really where we stand, and I'll answer any architectural questions. Oh, sorry, go to the last photograph. Tom, to your question, this is what I call the bonnet.
Oh.
Now, I come from the West Indies, so these in the older houses, these were actually louvered on the sides because you had no air conditioning, and they were kind of window coolers. But the bonnet is a very refined, little delicate element, which creates a lot of charm. And you can see the color of the rafters. We'll have exposed rafters. These are some images that we used to really show the clients where our points of reference were. So with that, I'll answer any questions on the architectural before I turn it over to the landscaping. Katie,
It's very charming. Just one question. For the east elevation, what is the percentage window opening?
it's about 25%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the library is contained, and again, it's all glass here, but there's a bigger wall here, so it's very. And remember, you're seeing shutters as well, so it kind of throws your eye. So it's the intention is to really create a throwback.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so happy that they decided to do that and not build a 2-story home. I mean, that is really spectacular for the town. That's a big win. So well done.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
All right, I'll let Gospel come and give you a brief.
Hi, I'm Jason Nunez with Fernando Wong, Outdoor Design, here with Goxel as well. Has also worked with them. Yeah, I'm Jason. So the slide that we see now, that's the trees position. So everything that's circled with a blue circle is meant to be relocated. Everything with a green is meant to remain in its current location. And what has a red circle with an X is meant to be removed. A few items like the coconut on the south side is to be removed. It's not going to relocate well, so it kind of becomes a hazard. Next, please. This is the legend of. Oh, can we go back one more, please? So this is the full list of all the existing plant material on the property. It's labeled whether it's to remain, remove, relocate. All of the trees have been surveyed. There's a full arborist report on all of the existing trees and palms, which was also useful for us to incorporate them into the design. Most, if not most of the plant material that's on the property will remain. On the property, it'll just be relocated to fit within Fernando's design. Next, please. So this shows the rendered site plan. Can we zoom out a little bit? Oh, so it shows the entrance along the east side. The curb cut is going to remain the same on the east. And then as you start to pull into the drive, most of the paving will be done out of coral stone. It's going to be used in probably 8 different sizing and applications. The drive will be framed with coral stone, and then the main fill will be a tabby with the crushed shell. As you pull into the main entrance, what's going to balance and hold the symmetry of the property and the larger specimen trees. There's going to be 4 new banyans to tie into the existing banyan that's on the bottom left of the property. The north and south will be planted with calophyllums at 24 feet overall planted height, and then the east and west side will be done out of sea grapes. The green symbols are the coconut palms. The existing ones are anywhere between 30 to 45 foot of CT. They're all meant to remain, and then we will also be bringing in some additional palms to balance out the scale. As Mark was saying, it's all about symmetry and what ties the property together. So these 2 trees will align everything. It'll be all seen throughout, and this is the master bedroom. So this tree is my focal point. We're proposing these larger lawns areas. It'll all be done with seashore paspalum, which would be in these areas, and then on a large sod area on the east side. This shows all of the coral stone paths. Some of it's going to be all grouted and filled. Some of them are the irregular flagstones with the grass joints, but everything is meant to be nice and simple in terms of plant material, and whatever's adjacent close to the house will be all low plant material. Next. These are just some of the elevations. The one on the top, it's If you're standing north, looking kind of south, screening is very important to us. So this shows that the north side will be screened, and also on the south and the west. The west side rendering, that's off of the Gulf Stream, so it shows the new entrance shifted slightly north, and then it also has a pedestrian door. Next, please.
Can you just scroll up a little bit, Renee, just so we can see that? I don't think we have this view.
So those show the calophyllums on the along the north facade. It also shows the specimen tree in the center, and the mortar court will be framed with medulls. We also have royal palms along the northeast elevation as well on the south elevation. And all of the plant material on the right of way is meant to remain. We will be adding some more coconut palms just slightly north of the entrance. Yeah, and this here shows the north entrance. So there's an existing sea grape hedge along the east property line that will remain. It shows an Australian pines to remain, and everything along the south side will be full and lush. Next, please. So this is our hardscape drawing. The pool was situated in center of this east, in center of this structure here. It's also in center with this terrace here. We're very symmetrical and we'd like everything to align. So there's pathways leading to landings. There's going to be a dining table here on top of coral stone with grass joints beneath the canopy of the larger specimen tree here. And then these are just the meandering paths throughout the west elevation, west side. Next, please. These are photos of the materials. On the left, that's the irregular coral stone. Here it's shown with gravel, but it'll be done with grass joints. Kind of seen up here. This is a photo of the coral stone, and then the tapicrete, which would be the main fill for the driveways. Next, please. This is the full landscape drawing where everything's quantified and labeled. Next, please. And this is the plant list showing all of the proposed plant material. Do we have any questions?
Could you just clarify on the motor court and where the garage is? What is that material that you're proposing? So in the circle and then right.
Can we go back? Go back one more. And can we zoom into this a little bit, please?
What is that? It looks different because it's different than the drive material.
Yeah, so the border will be done out of coral stone. It's a 12 by 24, and then it'll have an inner border of an 8 by 4 inch brick size. It all has, we have a border, inner border, and this will be done out of the regular coral stone. It'll be grouted and filled. We go back to the 3 borders, the specimen tree in the center. So what ties them all together is, in the coral stone, we'll have 4-inch joints of sod to separate, but the larger area in front of the garage will be all coral stone.
And where's the tabby concrete being used again?
PT5s. Right,
Okay, so that's the drive itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the PT5s will be done out of the tabby. Tabby held in with coral stone. And everything along the east side, we wanted to keep and preserve the open lawn space and the view, which is why Fernando decided to place the coconuts in that pattern. Any questions?
You said you could use paspalum grass, all the grass will be paspalum?
Correct.
What's there now, St. Augustine?
Yes, St. Augustine.
You were talking about the feature tree and the motor court and at the end of the cemetery north and south. What was that tree again going to be?
It would be a banyan.
A big feature, kind of a banyan tree?
Yeah, they'd be coming in at 45 feet overall.
Oof.
Yeah.
All of them sort of the same size?
Yes.
Is there one in the northeast corner now? You've got one in the sketch here.
On the northeast.
Going to be put in also?
And this one's new.
Okay.
New. And there's an existing one down here, which is meant to remain. Okay. These symbols all in the light gray, these are all of the existing plant material that's meant to be relocated. The property currently has 2 sea grapes kind of in this spot, and they're going to be planted here. And then we're bringing in 4 more to match the same specs, which is 25 feet overall, 6 to 8 inch DBH character trunks.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the size of the tree on the west.
Of the existing one?
Yeah. On the
It's called
Gulfstream Road side.
It's probably maybe 45, maybe even 50 feet overall height.
Okay.
It's down here.
Right, sorry. I forgot if I can use your drawing here, sorry.
Sure.
We do have a cabana building here, which is very simple. I don't know, that slide seemed to, or that exhibit seemed to fall out. And it's just basically an open canopy with 2, a bathroom and one on south side and a little storage and kind of mini bar on the north side. But again, very simple. And that will be in the standard seam copper as well, as a garden type structure.
Oh, so the cabana is going to be an open breezeway sort of in the middle?
Yes, it's for shading, really, sitting in the shade.
I don't have any questions other than why wasn't there a dining room, but you already answered that.
So we have it outside.
Yeah. We have indoor, outdoor. They plan to eat a lot in the road as well. Entertain on that, which is kind of, again, very nice because the dining room is a dying element, as we all know.
All right, should we make a motion?
It's really nice.
It is really nice.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan based on a finding that the construction of an 8,587,000 square foot Bermuda style 1-story single-family dwelling with a 2.5-car garage, swimming pool, 430 square foot pool cabana, new landscape and hardscape meets the minimum intent of the design manual and applicable review standards with the following conditions. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modification shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscape.
A second?
Mrs. Power?
Yes.
Mrs. Orthwine?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mark.
Thank you.
Beautiful. When are you going to start the demolition?
Don't ask Amos, please. No, we hope to be breaking ground sometime in October, November.
Oh, really? So you're going to wait and demolish right
Just do-
before you?
We might do it earlier, just to, again, get the feel of the property better. That was the intention originally before we
Aim is
started
to do it
design.
before
Looks
October
really
if you
nice.
could, or
It's
before
really
October.
nice. Keep kind of the history of the town intact like
Thank
that, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any items by staff?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Items by board members?
No.
No public. Just before we adjourn, again, in watching last month's meeting, Paul had some concern about repetitive, for instance, the El Cortillo having to come 4 times. Did we resolve some way to avoid that? There isn't any real way to avoid it, is there? They just, I mean, trying
Sure.
to not be too blunt, but they didn't pick up soon enough from us, I think, after the first meeting. Do you need us for a second, Mark?
I was just.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk to him, man.
Okay, sorry. Thanks.
at this point, we're trying to resolve more potential issues that would come before the boards at the staff level, which includes having more than one pre-application meeting if needed. So I think that with the trash enclosure, that was something they were, I don't want to say hell bent on, but that is what they wanted. And we tried to talk them out of it, said we were going to recommend denial, but that's something that, if we maybe met with it's harder being a multifamily. It's not just one person you're dealing with. It's a property manager. They've got direction from a board. So it's a little bit more complicated to say, no, let's pause. If you have a problem, let's deal with it. Let's talk to our waste hauler. So they had already had all these meetings and provided direction. And then all of a sudden we're meeting with a landscape architect with direction from the property manager. So that's a little bit different. But when we're dealing with, an individual owner and an applicant, we're trying to, get ahead of that a little bit. Obviously we had the issue on County Road with the tree removal, that's a little bit more difficult to deal with because you've got very large trees going to smaller trees. What tree is the right size, things like that. I think that, certainly staff could have maybe encouraged when looking at the plans, something a little bit higher, but I don't remember in a pre-application meeting them saying, oh, they're going to be 14 feet. And frankly, I think that they underestimated the height of the existing trees, which it doesn't get your guard up when they tell you they're going to be 14 feet replacing 20, but really it's 35, and the ones that they're planning are going to be 12, right? So, it's hard to manage that, but I think that Renee and I have resolved to be a little bit more. I don't know. We're pretty mean at meetings, but we're going to try to be meaner with direct, sure.
Correct.
More direct with the chances of approval, given the board and the commission looks to staff to sort of get ahead of some of these issues. Case in point, we have an older home in the core, dry lot. It is at 9 feet finished floor elevation. They're now required to be, so it's at 4 feet finished floor elevation. They're now going to 9 feet. So we are looking at a house that's at 4 feet if you're standing on the road, little, gradual sort of incline. And now we're looking at 9 feet where it's going to be, the finished floor elevation is going to be eye level or above that, so that's going to be difficult, knowing that we have massing concerns and we need to get ahead of that with multiple pre-application meetings if needed, to address concerns that the board may have. So that will be something that's coming up before you all, in the coming months. And then, of course, as we get more turnover from older houses with people buying them for millions of dollars, wanting a tear down and a new structure, that's really what we're going to see.
I mean, I have to say this Hofstetter home is really lovely. And I don't know if we can have people go back and watch the videos, right, so that they can understand where our perspective is and why we're protective, right, of the town code and making these decisions. I think it's important to keep. I try to remind all these people who show up into this wonderful town that there's a reason that they were attracted to it in the first place. And it's our job to preserve that, and it's important. So,
and we're backing you guys. So be direct, and we'll back you. Okay, I guess. Oh, who you're? Just so Renee knows.
I think I'm here.
Okay, Terry's here. I will be here. Katie, no, but is there anything important coming up? I mean, another new home or anything in July?
I believe there is another new home.
Okay.
I believe Blue Water Cove is coming
We
back.
have at least. Yeah.
All right. Then
Again,
we're-
that's a good example, right? Where I remember being in the meetings when they first came in and we had to talk about the colors and the different roof colors and they understood. And it sounds like we haven't had to have those conversations again. It was just that one meeting and right.
Sure.
They adapted and.
I believe this big home may be coming before you too, but we're having a second pre-app with them.
Okay. Well, thank you. Then we're adjourned.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Let's see.
Thank you guys.
Katie, thank you again. Katie.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
Gotta go.
You allowed me to have a quorum.
Yeah.
I'll leave you all these papers.
Okay, bad, you're gonna so many trees.
That's
but
tricky
I
with the
know,
changing
I know,
elevation.
it's helpful. I mean,
Mine-
Yeah, well, it's gonna be, it's
Sit there and
not
actually
gonna get any
go through it.
better, you know, it's gonna
I tried to read
be
all
particularly tough on a 100-foot lot, you know?
Okay,
Your
yeah.
house is up.
Right, is that what
Our
you were going
house,
for?
well,
I'm sorry.
we're like,
At least I know.
uh,
It's the runoff, you
yeah.
know, that you get. Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry,
no,
Jerry.
you're totally.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thanks, Trey.
No, I was trying, I read through your